Hello everybody, I'm Giuseppe Basili, also known as the Fib Stalker. Welcome. Today is Sunday, November the 6th, 2016, and in this video I'm going to review for you the four main futures I follow, plus the US dollar related pairs, US dollar Japanese yen, US dollar Canadian dollar, US dollar Swiss franc. This set of videos is going to be briefer and quicker. As you know, next week we have the US elections, and I personally will be my trading will be very light, and I want to see how things are going to uncover. So let's start from the S&P 500. As we mentioned last week, once this market has actually lost the level that we mentioned last week, which is 2110 here, we saw this market moving lower, and that's what we were anticipating here. This market went to trade into the first target, right into the first target, and then it jumped higher on Sunday here on news that the FBI is dropping the files against Clinton. So that's what we're seeing at the moment. This market has not tested yet the 2050, the area that I was mentioning, and I'm still watching an area below. The fastest signal in this market would come if this market would come to retest the 2020, as I mentioned. So there are a number of developments here we can see in this market. We could see it just continuing higher or just moving laterally, waiting till Tuesday here, and the current reaction is also a 50% retrace within the move higher at the moment. And let's not forget that that move higher has not hit the second target yet. Okay, so there is a possibility that this is it for this correction. Of course, very high risk in this market because of the election, meaning that it can go any direction. So far, if we look at the sequence of measure move, if this market tests the area in 2114, that's a short for a continuation lower. I would stay away for now in this market. Dollar index. The dollar index has been correcting lower here, and of course it's reacting higher now, along with the market reaction, as well as some other pairs we're gonna touch upon later on. So in order to see a more stable support here, I would need to see the 9650 being tested here. It's not say that this market is not going to test that. This is just the reaction we are seeing here. If we look at the 9650, we see that we have a 50% retrace plus. We have participation from weekly dump money long, so this is very important area, and you will see the same pattern in the US dollar Japanese yen as well. So I wouldn't trust the longs just yet, and of course I want to see the reaction after the elections as well, so we'll be very careful this week with this market. Silver is actually has reacted long on the 50% area, and as we mentioned, this reaction then has been aided by the weakness we saw last week in the dollar. Now this market is trading and has traded already a level which is a 50% retrace from the previous move here. Just want to show you the full sequence here, 50% into the first target. The second target was never touched, so this market never started trading in extension on the downside, and now the next measured move has traded. So if this holds again this week, this would mean higher dollar and lower commodities here, gold and silver. So far we saw the market responding on Friday to this level, and if we have a retest here, we have to retest it using the Fib stalking timing here. So a successful retest on the short side here, there would be a short signal for silver. Again, we want to wait and see what happens with the dollar index as well. Gold in a very similar situation here, a little bit weaker than silver, which actually gold has not retested the all-the way halfway back here, and it actually retested, though, like silver, the next measure move. The move in gold, though, it's a little bit different because this market has started trading in extension, as you can see here. So this sequence lower has failed, and we'll need to see how this market, if and when it tests the 1317, how it reacts. If the silver continues lower, gold will continue lower as well, or I should say if the dollar index will continue higher, gold and silver will continue lower. US dollar Japanese yen has found support at a 50% level. That 50% is the 50% above the participation at 170 that we saw back in July, June, July, August, and September. Here, these four areas where the 170 level that we knew well in advance. In fact, we knew it a few months in advance, has been retested here 4 times. So now this market has actually tested last week and then opened with a gap. So you will see a lot of gaps in the markets after testing that 102.80. So the 102.80 as a first target at 106.79. That second target right at that area that we've been looking at in the last few weeks and months here. So if that is tested, well, we don't know. First of all, let's wait what happens, and if this market continues higher, it might or might not give us opportunity to trade on the long side. But once the market will be at 108, there'll be a sensible resistance level there, because there'll be, if he gets the profit taken from algos longs plus dump money area short here, which would actually shed 200 pips from that market, and we will need to see whether the market will continue from there. So no guessing here this week. If the same level here 102.8 is being retested successfully after the election, then we could take a stab at it and try to bring price into the 106.80. So do not do not eliminate the possibility that this level could actually be retested. US dollar, Canadian dollar, this market has continued higher last week to hit that first target. That first target came from a 50% retrace, which could be seen, and we identified it on the weekly time frame as well. There was participation tracing from lows to highs. There was a 50% retrace here into also an area of above an area of the dump weekly money long, and on top of dump weekly money long, and yes, on top of a monthly dump money long here area here. So this market actually went to the first target on Friday, and then it started the correction on Friday. Was profit taking, and this has brought price into an area of daily longs here. This is a daily dump money, and there is an area that is also controlled by algos. So if this market actually makes a little bit lower here into 130.30, sorry, 133 level here, then we could see a continuation higher into that larger 50% retrace 135.80, which is still on the radar here. There's also a possibility that due to news and movements, quick movements in the market, you could see this market retrace all the way to 50% level of 132.34. So again, it's It's important to trade and test and trade these levels only after the most important event we're going to see this week. Next and last for this first group here is the US dollar Swiss franc. This market has seen a deep correction back into an area of support here, monthly dump money long, and that's the reason why we are seeing these. One of the reasons why we are seeing the reaction here today. We also have to remember that this market is, as confirmed, the activity of bulls here, because we got this violation 0.9948 2 weeks ago. So let's always put things in perspective and remember that this market is actually being controlled by bulls at the moment, despite the move that we have seen recently. Now, this market could dip a little bit lower as well, and as you can see here, there is a clear area of support and resistance that has not been violated yet. And this market, as we don't have any edge on the provided by the dump money here, as well as from smart money, which is actually, bull and bear have been failing. One after the other here, as we can see. So bulls have failed here, and there is the possibility for this market to continue laterally. Obviously, should this market come down into the 95 or 95.50, that would become a good opportunity to pick up this market. And it might not come down at those levels, as the dump long here, it appears at higher levels as well. But if the market will dip into this dump long, there should be a very good possibility for a continuation higher. All right, so this is it for this video review. Trade safely, as we are going to see what happens with these US elections. Very, very important elections, as always. And we will see whether one party or the other will lead, whether continuation of current policies or potential renewal of some aspects of the policies in US. And good luck, and I'll see you later on this week. Bye bye now.